Hey everyone, what's going on? Greg here again from Team Blast. So for Apple Maps, Apple Business Connect, one of the soft KPIs that I track for my clients is taps on directions. So these are important metrics to track for clients. Like let's say you're a nail salon, or maybe you're a psychic, or you're a dentist, or anything else that people are actually coming to your location for the service that you provide. So Apple actually can record in a 12-month span of how many times people click on the directions request. I think this is important to track, and I'm going to go over that right now. So to start, kind of where does this appear? If you're on your desktop or your laptop, you go to Apple Maps, you search for anything like chiropractor near me. You click on anyone's listing, you're actually going to get the directions tab that shows up. It's going to be next to call and also website as well. So directions, if they click on that, that's the trackable directions metric that Apple Business Connect is reporting on. Next, which is probably happens more, is on your phone. So if you have an iPhone and you have Apple Maps, obviously it comes pre-installed. If you search for anything like, again, a chiropractor, it's going to default to whatever your preference is. So if it's driving or if it's public transportation, if you click on that, so that 30-minute button over there for me, that is a directions request. Again, Apple Business Connect is going to now track that. Now, within Apple Business Connect, there's actually a lot of rich data that I think is overlooked. So I want to explain this because if you're running Google ads or Bing ads, you can actually garner a lot of actual heat map data of where people are searching for and clicking on your profile. So I've redacted the client's name, but I can see around Pawtucket, Providence, and Warwick. This is all within Rhode Island. I can see generally where people are searching for and where they tapped on the business profile. What's neat is that you can actually then change that view and you can actually look to see what is by the zip code where people they tapped on your location in the search results. So again, if you're, let's say, a nail salon, a chiropractor, or a dentist, you can actually export this data from Apple and you can then feed this into your Google Ads or even Bing Ads accounts. You can then do location targeting and you can see, let's say it's Cranston or Warwick or Providence, it lists off an order. One thing also to note is that I think Apple doesn't report anything that's below either 2% or 1%, which is why they only show 10. But again, this is such rich data over here that you can know exactly, okay, if I target these cities and towns around my location, this generally is how far people are going to be willing to travel to my location, and maybe they become walk-ins or they do reservations or they become customers as well. So a lot of great data right here. Now, this is what I look at for this particular client, but also for all my clients too. What people search for before tapping your location. So for this particular account over the past year, 72% of the time people search for their name or brand. So let's pretend the name here is TM Blast. That's the name or brand name of my business, but the category might be like marketing agency or SEO. So again, if you're like a chiropractor, that category search could be chiropractor, chiropractor near me, but the name of your business could be something, doctors, Kristen, chiropractor, something like that. So that's how the difference is with category versus name or brand. But I'm always looking at the category percentage and saying, okay, if we're at 18%, how do we increase that maybe to 25%? And the way you do that is by tracking your category keywords in local Falcon. So that's what I've done with all my clients. This particular client, I've actually redacted their keyword, their business name, and obviously their coordinates, but I can see that we've had a slow and steady increase in share of local voice. Again, local Falcon uses DuckDuckGo as the measurement for share of local voice, but basically means the percentage of time out of these 81 dots we're on page one via DuckDuckGo, which does translate directly into Apple Maps search. Basically, when share of local voice increases, so do impressions, then more direction requests, et cetera, et cetera. So how to increase the share of local voice for Apple Maps? A couple ideas. Starting at the top, experiment with the right category and secondary categories to see what ranks. So you can either get very granular, or you can add a lot of different options, see what works best for your business. Next, run local Falcon scans. So I do this on a weekly basis for a lot of my clients, sometimes even more often for new accounts that I onboard. Local Falcon, though, will then keep the saved memory of your previous scans. You know exactly how you ranked before, and if your trend is actually improving, like I showed in the previous slide. Next, look at competitors. So there is spam within Apple results, just like Google. Look to see if there's any spam, misleading, fake, reviews, anything that might be impacting your business. I've seen accounts where their competitors are keyword stuff in their name. I can flag that over to Apple. Apple then can review that suggestion, and they can actually then change the name, which would actually help my client rank a little bit better. Or there might be an account right out of their home, which is against Apple's quality guidelines, stuff like that. You want to look through the competitor landscape, and then basically if there's anything that's impacting your business, you want to alert Apple about that. Next, reviews from Yelp are a ranking factor. So I see this all the time for all my for all my accounts that I have. The competitor tab within local Falcon will show me who's ranking at the top. Usually, the one that's ranking at the top is getting consistent Yelp reviews, and they typically have a better Yelp average rank score. So if everything's equal, like category and proximity, Yelp is going to be the next deciding factor. Next is the description is a ranking factor, and also adding new photos are as well. So you got to keep your account active. There's no sync button from Apple into Google Business Profile, so you have to manually add the photos and your description. One tip is that if you're multi-language, you can actually then take your existing description and you can actually then translate that directly onto Apple Maps. Great way to reach a new audience. And then finally, showcases and good to know are ranking factors. So showcases are things like, call now, or, your first visit is like 50% off. But the good to know are factors like, do you accept Apple Pay? Is there Wi-Fi? Is there parking on site, etc. These are good filters to actually go through and check off, because people who use Apple Maps can actually then filter results to only show who accepts Apple Pay. Again, so going through all these factors will actually then help increase your share of local voice, which then I kind of mentioned that will help increase your category search percentage, which then if you go back up to the very top of this presentation should lead to more impressions to your account. And then the more impressions you have lead to more people clicking on directions, which allows more foot traffic into your establishment. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know if you have any questions, and as always, have a good rest of your day.